Guess what day it is? Uh-oh. Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Anybody? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Hump day, hump day, hump day.
Do you remember something in the Bible about the last days when the dead would rise from the grave? Judgment Day. Judgment Day.
The whole building is a huge superconductive antenna that was designed and built expressly for the purpose of pulling in and concentrating spiritual turbulence.
Something terrible is about to enter our world, and this building is obviously the door. They conducted rituals up on the roof. Bizarre rituals intended to bring about the end of the world, and now it looks like it may actually happen.
This city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportion. What he means is Old Testament, Mr. Mayor. Real wrath of God type stuff. Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling.
40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes.
The dead rising from the grave.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Hey guys, hope you can hear me. I'm running multiple streams, so hopefully I got this all hooked up right. But welcome to this evening's presentation. As you can probably tell, Franz is not here this evening. His daughter has a game, so he will be attending that. And so I figured this would be a good time to go over the 1776 spell. Now, I tried to put this video I tried to make it a video. And as I'm recording it, I am starting to understand there's so much to it that I just don't know where to go with it. So I thought it would be a much better method to just go over it live and we can walk through it together. But I'm not going to start for a little bit because I just want to give everybody a few minutes to roll in. Usually we have a bunch of people over on Rumble. So I just want to give people time to come over here from Rumble because there are some people, there's 5 people over there right now. Come to YouTube. If you go to Rumble, the page, it literally says go to YouTube, so no Rumble tonight. So link is in description and pinned. Of course, people will have to be looking at the chat, but as long as they're looking at the screen, I mean, it literally says come to YouTube, link in description, and pinned comment in the chat. So hopefully people will get the message and come on over to YouTube. Okay, I see Catherine is one of the people over on Rumble. So, yeah, we'll just give people a few minutes. How's everybody doing? Hope your weeks are going well. Hope it's warming up wherever you're from. It's warmed up a little bit here. I mean, it's still a little chilly, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all. So I do have Rumble. Rumble is up and live. Just because I do have some people who are not on my YouTube channel who only watch the Rumble channel. And so for those people, I wanted to leave the Rumble channel open in case they tune in. They can get the links, they can receive the message. So as long as my laptop is going to be running and the battery doesn't die, then that connection to Rumble will stay open, and people can come on over here. Yeah, there is a lot to this, and I think that, I mean, as I'm building this, I think what's happening here is this is everything we've ever talked about, all in one, with like obviously a bunch of new stuff. But as I was looking into 1776, everything else started to become clear as well. Like the timeline, the fake timeline, when did this happen? When did that happen? When was this kingdom? So many awesome things. So many things I would have never thought would have ever been connected to 1776. But it turns out that when you understand how this spell works, you see it with its little fingers in everything in the world we live in. I mean, and its fingers are in everything. It was absolutely bananas. How wide reaching this is. It's literally the World Wide Web. Like literally, it's that's what it is. It's the World Wide Web, and it's totally gotten everybody. Well, I guess we are at a good place as any to start presenting. So let me see here. So I did write a few things just so I can make some things perfectly clear, because I did not want to forget to say certain things. So what happened here? So I did write some things down, and there are some points I wanted to point out. So this is kind of like an intro. I just didn't want to leave anything out because this is such a complex topic we're going to be talking about here. So please give me, I don't know, 2 minutes, 5 minutes to read what I put together here. We're going to also cover some scriptures. And then we're going to get right into this thing. So let's do it. First and foremost, I am not a prophet. Let me say that again. I am not a prophet. And this is not a prophecy. Okay? I'm just a servant of God showing you the things he shows me. I do not practice gematria, numerology. I expose the weapons of our enemy as God gives me understanding. I will show you many things in the numbers, but I am simply showing you what the enemy has built. I will show you how this year, 2026, shows up twice in the final numbers of the spell, but I am in no way telling you what to believe. I'm just showing you what the numbers say as I have been shown. Okay? So that's the big disclaimer. Now, what I'm going to show you, although not all tonight because this is going to be an ongoing series, but what I'm going to show you is how Tartaria was a golden kingdom that ruled over the earth, much like America does now and Egypt did in biblical history. And Satan entering into a leader would rule over the world. Okay, now this was the empire, Tartaria, that was in power when Jesus came. Now, it is my proposition, and this is just my opinion, my proposition, and I'll lay out for you throughout this series why these things are. So understand everything I'm talking about, I will show you, and I will give biblical backing for all of it. So it's going to be a process, but this is the foundation. This is what we really need to understand. This is the root of which everything else is going to be built upon. All right. So we know that Satan ruled over the world when Jesus came. We understand that. Satan was the god of this world. He ruled over this world just like he will through the Antichrist, just like he did through Pharaoh. This is how he rules over the world. Now, when Jesus came, it is my proposition that Tartaria was the world power that oversaw the kingdoms of the earth. So, was Rome the powerhouse back then? Yes. But was there a powerhouse over Rome? Was there a world ruler, world kingdom, Tartaria ruling over the kingdoms of men? I propose to you, yes. And by the time we finish all these studies, I'm sure you will be inclined to agree, if not all the way, then at least a little bit. So we see in Romans 3:11 and 12 that there is none that understandeth, no, not one, that seeketh after God. They're all gone out of the way. They are altogether become unprofitable. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. So you can clearly see that when Jesus came to the earth, that nobody sought God, not one. Okay? So, complete rulership. Satan had complete rulership over the entire earth. Okay? And then we see in Matthew 4, right? 8, we see, and 9, we see this. And the devil taketh him up to an exceeding high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them, and saith unto him, all these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. All right. So obviously Satan ruled over the world through his golden throne and Tartaria. And this is what I want to show you. Now watch what happens, because watch the biblical layout here. All right. So Satan offers the world to Jesus if Jesus would just bow down to him. Now watch. In order for Satan to betray Jesus, he had to leave the king of Tartaria's body. Okay. Now Satan's a spirit. He can only rule and control the people by entering into that person, right? Which is what the binding did. So in order for Satan to betray Jesus, he had to leave the king's body and enter into Judas. And Judas was a servant of Jesus who submitted to Jesus. And you can see Jesus exercise his lordship over Satan as soon as he was about to enter into Judas in John 13, 26 and 27. You see, Jesus answered, he it is to whom I shall give a sop when I have dipped it. So first he's declaring who Satan can enter into. He's granting him permission. And he's saying that whoever I give the sop to, that's who you can enter. He's giving permission. And when he dipped the sop, he gave it to Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon. Now, notice he's given no commands yet. And after the sop, Satan entered into him. Now, Satan has entered into one of Jesus's servants. I hope you see what I'm trying to show you, the implications of what just happened. And then after Satan entered into Judas, then Jesus said to him, that thou doest, do quickly. showing him, I have authority over you. You are now under my authority. Right? Because that's where Satan put himself to betray Jesus. So, Satan, thinking he was going to beat God, entered into Judas, thinking he was going to destroy the Messiah, and in doing so was bound and imprisoned by the very thing he sought for his freedom. Now, this opened the doorway to the Antichrist. Okay, this is important groundwork here. The son of perdition. Okay, there's only 2 times in the Bible where the term son of perdition is used. Once is in John 17:12, right here, where it says, while I was with them in the world, I kept them in thy name. Those that thou gavest me, I've kept, and none of them is lost, but the son of perdition, that the scripture might be fulfilled. Okay, so referring to Judas, the son of perdition, and the only other place this term is used in scripture is in 2 Thessalonians 2:3, and where it says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. So here the son of perdition is talking about the Antichrist. So when Satan entered into Judas, that was the first Antichrist. Okay? Remember, without a Christ, there can be no Antichrist. So it wasn't till Christ came that there could even be an Antichrist. There could be rebellion, of course, but an Antichrist, there first needed to be a Christ, right? Before there could be an Antichrist. So, without Christ, there couldn't have been an Antichrist. So when the door to the Father was opened up in Christ, a door to the Father of lies was opened up in Judas. All right. Now, if we look at this from the beginning of the binding at the cross, when Jesus set up his kingdom and the door was opened in Christ, so was a door opened for the Antichrist spirit. 101, John 10:1, and Satan was bound and in prison. Now, this is important to understand because people are like, well, he can't, he's bound up and da, da, da. Listen, he is locked up, all right, and he cannot enter into man or deceive man. This is the binding. So he's in prison and bound. So not only is he locked in time and space, but he cannot enter into man and he cannot deceive the nations. So he has to tell people what he's going to do, and this is what people call predictive programming, which is not predictive programming. It's Satan telling you what he's going to do because he has to. But as we very well know on this channel, he does it in a fictionalized place so that you don't put 2 and 2 together. Okay. Now, predictive programming is what they call it. That's not what I call it. I just refer to it as Satan's binding because that's all it is. So, just like a cartel boss can run his cartel from behind bars while he's bound and in prison, he still runs his kingdom from the prison and builds and expands his kingdom awaiting his return. So, if a man can do that, then why not a much more powerful being like Satan? Okay, so since the cross, Satan has known he had a short time, and you can see in 1 John 2:18 that John warns there are many antichrists out there, many spirits of darkness that will spend the next 1,000 years building and preparing for a final iron kingdom where Satan will once again sit on his man-made throne as Obama. It is the last time, the end. The clock started at the cross, and the alarm is set to end this year. All right. So that is out of the way. Good to see you all. Thank you for bearing with me and being patient. Now, I'm going to navigate through this lesson on my creation page where I have freedom to do so much more, move stuff around. But I will show you this because this is what you're going to find. So in the description of this YouTube video and at the top of the chat box in that little pinned comments right there, you will see a bit.ly link. That link is to this flowchart. Okay, it's in the description and in the pinned chat. And so that will give you this page. Now, I just want to very briefly show you how to navigate this. Now, you can see that my mouse is an arrow. If I click it, it's going to go to the next page. So if there was a page to go back to when I was over here, which I'll show you in a second, it would be a left arrow. And when you're over here, it is a right arrow. So if you come down here and hover right at the bottom of the screen, you'll see this little shadow box of menu items pops up. Okay. One of these things you're going to see is zoom in and out. You're going to want to know where this is. You will also see a thing for page navigation, which you can also use. I have made this up here for simplicity's purposes. So if the arrow is green, that means the page is available. If it's red, it is unavailable. So you can see when you hover over the green arrow of Constitution or hidden in plain sight or 1776, the arrow is green, which means you can proceed to that page. Now, this is why I said you're going to need to know where the zoom button is. So if you hover down here, you click zoom in, and then you can zoom in like this. See? Perfect. Now you will see that since, whoops, yeah, it does that sometimes. That was my own fault. It's because I hit the space bar to move it around, because that's what you got to do on the building page, but not on this page. When you zoom in, you can see how it's an arrow pointing right, and then over here, arrow pointing left. So that'll change the page. But when you zoom in, that arrow turns into a hand, which you just click and you can drag it around. So zoom in, I mean, it won't hurt you to zoom into 1,000. You know what I mean? And then you can just drag it around as you see fit. And if you want, you can see, let me zoom out a little bit. If you see, I've put all these little orange Back to the Future arrows. These will bring you back to this menu. So if you want to go to the Constitution page and start doing that, and then you finish that, you just click Back to the Future, it'll bring you back here. Then you can go to Hidden in Plain Sight. You can start working on that one. And then when you're done, you just click back. You can also navigate down here, you know, through the pages. I can't shut this off, and I can't shut off this little arrow icon to flip pages. I tried. So, but I did build this. You can use it if you want. But yeah, it is what it is. So that's a brief overview. I just really wanted to show you where the zoom in and out thing is because you're going to need it. Okay. So now we're going to go over to the, yeah, we're on YouTube. Yep. Oh, yeah, there's a reason we're on YouTube. I didn't even tell you guys. So the reason we're on YouTube is because I am doing this presentation with you guys and it's live. And Rumble has like a 30-second delay between when you guys talk and when I get to see it. So it's not a very good platform for being interactive. So we're doing it over here so that when you type a question into the chat, I see it automatically. You know what I mean? I don't have to wait 30 seconds until I'm on to some other topic to see it come in and then have to go back. And so this seemed just like an easier way. All right. Now Remember, I've built this for people who are going to come later. There's all kinds of notes I've written. I'm going to go through it with you, but it's also been designed for people who would just come to this and just need a starting place. So just keep these things in mind. So I obviously have written start here. Now, for the purpose of this teaching, it is better if you have seen Nakarima and Dark Numbers, because these two things are going to help your understanding moving forward. Okay. All right. Now, the whole premise of the prison, right, we know is 88, which is based off of the analema, which is the sun and the moon throughout the year both make a figure 8. All right. Now, this would be impossible, FYI, on a globe. This would never, ever, ever, ever happen. Okay, just saying. So you have 8s that are made by the moon and the sun every year. 88, time and space. Now this is Satan's prison. The sun and the moon, the time and space, the 88 analema. Okay. Now, let's see. I found something very interesting out about analema. I did a word breakdown. So Anna is like a collection of things associated with a person or a place. Now remember, a person is a fictional, a legal fiction, right? So this could be talking about literally your soul and your spirit. Things associated with a person, a collection of things. I want you to think of this in a spiritual manner, okay? For Lem, the etymology is wood. And then for Ma, mother, mama, the matrix, giving birth to. So look at what we have here. We have a collection of things associated with a person, like spirits and souls, which are trapped inside of a tree, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, in the matrix, where the mother box is creating this false reality by feeding it souls, right? That's what analema means. I mean, look at it. Analema. It's right there. It means collection of things associated with person, like a or wood, and a mother. I mean, that's the spiritual things that I see in this. Now, this is known as the Tesseract. Okay? This is the time-space prison. It is a cube inside of a cube. And people will say, well, how come it doesn't mean 66 and why is it 88? Well, you can see that this is an infinite prison because all the points are connected. And a cube has 8 points. So since the points are connected, it's 88, and the points being connected in an infinite loop creates the prison. You see? Now, in Back to the Future, right? They said 88 miles per hour to travel through time. And if you've forgotten, here it is. All right, so out of time, that license plate said, right? So, out of time, 104 for a value, 8 letters long. 1 and 4 is 5, 8, 58. Okay? It's about escaping the prison. 58, the return of the Antichrist, the return of the beast, right? 58. Chat stopped scrolling. All right. Yeah, just keep me posted. Let's see. All right, this ought to help. Yeah. All right, that should do it. That should do it. All right. So you can see 58 out of time. This is crazy. All right. Now, so that is the 88 prison. Now, as you can see, this is absolute chaos. This is not an actual flow chart. This is me trying to organize my thoughts into something comprehensible. Okay. So, what you're seeing here is not a flow chart where you go from one thing to another. As you can see, this has like 5 things coming out of it. It's because it connects to all these different things. So these are just connections that you're seeing. So don't be fooled by the title flow chart into thinking that it's just going to flow, because it's not. Okay. So here's what's important to understand. And we're going to jump around because, as I said, there's so much to this. It's hard to know what I should give you first. So, you know what? Let's do this. I'm going to show you the guts of the spell, and then we'll talk about everything else, okay? So what you're looking at right here in the center of your screen in this blue box is the guts of the spell. This is the spell as it's written out. I mean, at least to the first 5. Like when it says 77776 total is like that below, that's not the spell. Everything above that is the spell. So from these 4 8s up, that's all the spell, okay? It started at 67 and 76. Now, what you're looking at here, this line down the middle, this dashed line here, this represents a mirror. So what you're looking at is a reflection, okay? Satan is in the mirror dimension. So this is why everything's forwards and backwards and the shadow realm. So what's 76 on our side is 67 on their side. And whatever's 176 on our side is 671 on their side. So while I was decoding this, I wanted to make sure that every single thing checked out. And I wanted to make sure that it was correct on both sides, on the dark side and on our side. And it is crazy. And the proofs I'm going to show you are bananas. But you can see here that 76, the first thing with 76, all right, the mirror means that we're breaking things in half. Okay? Because if you're looking at a reflection, you're looking at half of something because the other half is in the reflection. So it is a split. So when you split 76 in half, 76 divided by 2, you get 38. Okay, now that's 101, which is the doorway to the Antichrist, which is what I told you where it all began with Judas, right? At the very beginning, that door was opened. Now, if you look on their side and do 67 divided by 2, you get 33.5. But you'll notice that 3 and 5 is 8. So you still have 38 somehow. This is why it's spiritual magic. Like when I was doing this, I couldn't even believe what was happening. So here you have 101. So you can see this doorway opened up through the 76. All right, now that's what I want to show you right now. Now I'm going to go up here. Now that you got an idea of what we're going to be talking about, I can explain to you a little bit about these numbers, what they mean, and why they work. Now that you kind of have an idea of the spell. But before I do that, see, I'm just freestyling, so bear with me. Understand that there's a 1 and a 6 on the end in our side, and on their side there's a 6 and a 1. Okay, but there's always a 1 and a 6 at the end. And every time you add a 7, you get another 8. This is the weird things about this spell. All right, but I just wanted to show you that so that these things make more sense. So, what is 76? 76 is Satan and his angels. 7 is for the seven-headed dragon, and 6 is 33, which is a third of the angels. Okay? So, once the fallen come through, they're given life to the Nephilim DNA, black goo, oil, etc. So as I showed you, 76, right? Thus, this opening, this doorway to the Antichrist, the 101, was the first step of the spell. And through the first step of the spell, it opened up the 8, a portal which let through a 3, a third of the angels, through the doorway of the Antichrist that they opened up. And the numbers are exactly the same on the other side, just backwards. Okay? So 76 represents the very beginning. Think of 76 as the cross, and 17776 as the beginning of the Great Tribulation. Okay, so that's what you're looking at here. You're looking at that 1,000 years of the binding is all right here from 76 to 17776. That is the binding to the release. The whole imprisonment is right here in this spell. Okay. Now, once the fallen came through the 76 portal, now they want to give life to the Nephilim. So understand, the old world before Christ, the new world after Christ. That's how we're going to talk about this. Okay, so old world, Tartaria, free energy, golden age. Okay, nobody wanted God. That was before Christ. After Christ, the new world order, oil, no free energy, slavery through dependence, right? So they got the world to become dependent on oil. And if you've been following my channel for any amount of time, then you will know that oil is Nephilim DNA. And so with this new world order, the fallen have come through. Watch how this is working. Okay, that which was spiritual or physical came first, and then that which is spiritual. So they came onto this earth physically, had physical giants, and then now they're manifesting in a spiritual manner, giving birth to spiritual children. Now, if you take a world like the earth and you change it from free energy, because Satan was the prince of the power of the air, he ruled over the earth, right? And you want to enslave people in this new spell, this ritual magic, there needs to be lifeblood to it, right? So what they did was they put Nephilim DNA, they put oil in everything you own, your house, your car, your clothes, your medicine, your shampoo, your deodorant, your shoes, your pants, your underwear, everything that you own is oil. Everything. Okay? This whole earth is run on oil. And if that's not enough, America, Mystery Babylon, who this whole spell is about, they connected their currency to this oil. Okay, now the oil is now connected to a fiat currency. So now the currency of the oil and the currency of the money is circulating across the earth, and everybody is being enmeshed in this power of circulation because there is so much energy and life force being attached to money and oil and everything that it is involved with. So this is what the New World Order is. Changing from the old system, the old way, to the New World Order. This whole system of enslavement and control, because Satan is building the final kingdom, the kingdom of darkness. Not a golden kingdom. Kingdom of black gold, maybe. Now, the process of bringing back the king of the bottomless pit, Apollos, and the one is added, enters into the picture. So now the 76 has become 176. So as these things are taking place, the spell is happening over time. And as we get into the study, we will get more specific to the timelines and when things are happening and when this happened and when that happened. Of course, I give you to the best of my understanding. Okay. Now, the Nephilim spirits are charging the spell. All right. So understand that in order to build 1776, in order to build America, they first had to build Nakarima. In order to build Nakarima, there had to be a transition from the old world into the new world. Okay? And I propose to you that this is where the children of God were returned to Egypt. And we'll cover all this. We're going to get into everything I'm talking about. So don't worry about that. I will not leave you hanging on anything. And please, by all means, if you have a question, ask. That's why I'm doing it on YouTube. I'm going to be giving you so much information. So don't, if you have a question, by all means ask. If you need to go back to something, by all means, just say so. I want to make sure you guys get what we're talking about. Okay, so the next progression is this one that's added to the 76 into the 6-7. All right, so the Nephilim spirits are now charging the spell through the Nakarima on this side, led by the fallen angels. Now, 1 and 7 is 8, and that leaves 6, right? 176, 178, that's 86. Now, that's the numerical value for Nephilim. Okay, and 716 is Apollo. Look right here. Here you can see Apollo. 71, 6. 716 and 176. You see? All these little tiny connections were being made as I was putting all this stuff together. Like so many confirmations. It wasn't even funny. All right. Now, 1776 is the beginning of America, part of the New World Order. All right. This is like the final stage of the New World Order, America. This is the end of 1776 spell, because the next thing that happens is 17776, and that's the Great Tribulation, and that is when Satan is released from the bottomless pit. Okay, now Satan is locked inside of the 8s, right? We talked about this, the Analema, which is also the Ouroboros, the serpent eating his tail. Now, the 16 is the Ouroboros, the serpent eating its tail. It is 88. So, the 1 and the 6 on the end of the spell is the portal, right? This is why this happens. Watch. Just got to get my calculator. So I can go 1, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 6 divided by 2, and it's going to be a series of 8s. See, it doesn't matter how much you do. And I can do it backwards too. 6, 7, 1 divided by 2. Now, this is going to have a 33 at the beginning, a 55 at the end for Satan and his angels. And then the middle is going to be full of 8s. See? The third, Satan, and 8s. So the 1 and the 6 are the portal through which they travel through. Hope that makes sense. Now, here's what's important to understand. The 6 is on the end on our side, but the beginning on their side. So here we have 76, but on our side, on their side, it's 67. So their beginning is our end. Okay, that's the point being made here. Now, so when the 1 is added to their side, it is on their end, which is our beginning. Now, making the beginning of their release to be the beginning of our end. Okay? Now, this is where it all started on their end at 67. And it all ends on our end with 67, which I will show you the signs in a minute. Good question, SMK. I will say to you no, and I will tell you exactly when in this presentation. So if you're gonna stick around here, then you will definitely get my understanding of what's going on here, because I will show you everything. I have a grand finale at the end where we're gonna tie everything together. So. Okay, so just want to point these few things out. Now, as I said, now I'm going to get a little bit deeper to show you how the 6 and the 1 manifest into this portal. All right, so the 7 represents the 7-headed dragon. In Revelation 13:3, it says, I saw one of its heads as it were wounded to death. Okay, so this is where the 6 comes from. And this deadly wound was healed. This is where the 1 comes from. See, the serpent eating its tail. It's the Ouroboros, the birth and the rebirth. That's the 1/6, the portal, the 88, which is why it is at the beginning and the end. So the 176 represents the rebirth. The beast that thou sawest was, here's the 7, was, and is not, here's the 6, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, here's the rebirth, aka the new beginning, the 1, and goes into perdition, and they that dwell on the earth shall wonder. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition. All right, so here is all the numbers explained to you. The 88, the 1, the 6, the 7, it's all there. And now I'm going to show you how these things operate. But there's a few directions I can take. As you can see, this thing branches off in many directions. So I think maybe it would be good to go over here and cover the 76s, and then so we can see how it manifests on our side. So we know that 6-7 was the beginning of this spell, but it manifests on our side as 7-6. So how is this stuff taking place? Let's do it this way. Because the more you understand when we dive into the actual guts of it, the better off you will be. So one thing that's important to understand is that every president is inaugurated into the Apollo spirit. This is why no matter what side the president's on, the country always goes to the same goal. It always heads in the same direction, no matter who's president. All right. And that's why, because it's Apollo running the show. Now, this is the whole point of the inauguration. What you see is for the public, but there's a ritual that they do underground in a temple for this purpose before they come out to above ground, like they are bringing the spirit up with them. Okay, so they inaugurate into this rebellious spirit of Apollo. Now, as you can see, Apollo is 71. Now, I'm going to show you how this ritual magic is all about America, Mystery Babylon, the New World Order, the Beast King, whatever you want to call it, right? So Apollo 71. Here we got Betsy Ross. She made the flag, the Betsy Ross flag with the the 13 circles stars. So Betsy Ross. Betsy is 71, the same as Apollo. Oh, and look at that. Ross is also 71, same as Apollo. Now, she is born on 1/11/1752, and if you take these numbers, you get 17 and 7/11, which is Q, the spirit of Antichrist, or Apollo backwards, 17 and 7/11, which is 9/11. That's her birthday. You can also get 237, 5G, and the number 23 out of her birthday. You can also add her birthday numbers together, 1 + 1 + 1 + 7 + 5 + 2, and you get also 17. This is ritual magic. Betsy Ross is not a real person. This is ritual magic. Okay? This spirit is imagined in this flag. Or not imagined, but imaged in this flag. All right? Now, she lived from January 1st, 1752 to January 30th, 1836. That is 30,000 days, 699 days, which is 999, which is 666. Her death is literally 13/18/36. Her real name is Elizabeth, 88. Grissom, 84. Okay? When you take 88 and 84 and add them together, you get 172, which is 82. Now watch this part closely, because this gets crazy. All right? So you add 88 and 84, you get 172. 1 and 7's 8, 82. Now if you add them singly, 8 + 8 + 8 + 4, you get 28, which is backwards of 82. That's crazy. Now, if you take her first initials of her supposed real name, E.G., you get 57, 5G, or 237, the cage of the beast, and then Ross is R, of course, which is 18, 666. She remarried twice, once as Ashburn, 3/8, 83, and Claypool, 104, 14, which is 77. Okay, so here you have clearly a spirit of Antichrist creating an image of the beast in the Betsy Ross flag. So before I move down here, let's take a look at what is 76. 76, aka 13, is the rebellion against God. Okay? 13, 7 is Satan, and 6 his angels, 33. 13, 7 and 6 pieces of Osiris. 13, 7 and 6 colonies. 13 stripes, 7 red and 6 white. 13 stars on the Betsy Ross flag. Washington has a numerical value of 76, which is 13. Can I enlarge it a little? Yeah. Where was I? Reps for the Constitution, including Washington, there was 13, which I'll show you clearly right here. You can see this is from the Constitution. It says this text of the Constitution follows the engrossed copy signed by General Washington and the deputies from 12 states. So 13 reps, including Washington, for the Constitution. 13, we the people, is 130. That's 13. 76, we the people. United States is 157. That's 67. 13. The Human Network, 6G. That's 67. 13. I hope you can see that this is magic. This is not history. George Washington, we've talked much about him, right? 237. We know that G is 7 and W is 2-3. So 237, George Washington. We already know he's wicked. So this is Horus. This is the reborn Osiris. So if you want to think of it like this, think of George Washington as Judas at the beginning, right? If you want to look at the beginning of America and the cross, you can look at George Washington as Judas, and then you look at the end, and it will be Obama as the Antichrist. Okay, that's literally what we're looking at here. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty big. I can make it bigger, but I want to be able to zoom around and stuff too. So, okay, so we know Washington 76, that's 13. George by itself is 57, 237. So not only is George Washington's initials oh, never mind. I'm sorry. It is the initials. George equals 57, which is 237. So no matter how you look at George's name, you got 237 in his initials, you got 76, you got 13, you got 237 in the numerical value of his first name. Like, this stuff's crazy. Now, George Washington has 2 birthdays in Wikipedia for some reason, but I did them both just in case. So one of them is 222, 1732, and the other one's 211, 1731. Now, he died at 12/14, 1799. So I do both of the dates. If you go from the second one, which was 211, it's 25,133 days. That's 77. 711. Apollo. Okay, if you do it from 222, 1732, it's 24,757, which is 6757, which is literally his name. George Washington, 6757, 6757. Come on. Come on. Right? Come on. All right, now look. Some of you may know this, some of you may not, but this is important to point out. George Washington was not the first president of the United States. He was the first quote-unquote president under the spell, 1776. Okay? Now, so that means that George Washington, the first head of the 1776 beast, was the 15th president. And as you can see here, 15, 555, we know that means 666. But here is the tarot card number 15. It is the symbolization for the devil. And it symbolizes themes of addiction, materialism, and feeling trapped. You know, pretty much every aspect of being an American. Now, here you can see, which I have not linked these. By the way, some of these things will be linked in as you go through and navigate in your own time in the flow chart. Some of them will be linked. Some of them are not. This one's not linked. This one's not linked. But I'm just showing you that there were 14 presidents before Washington. Look at the spell. 14. 77. Okay? It's all ritual magic, you guys. It's all ritual magic. So, let's get into this a little bit. So I told you that 16 is the portal. That's why there's a 1 and a 6 on each end. That's 88. 1 and 6 on each end represents 88, the time-space prison, right? Now, this is why they supercharged January 6th so much. Even though it was a giant nothing burger, they've never stopped talking about it since it happened. January 6th. This is the 1/6, the portal of America to bring through the Antichrist. See, they're supercharging all these numbers. 1/6. Trump wants to give away a $1,776 stimulation package to everybody. This is the 250th anniversary of 1776. You see what they're doing? They're supercharging all these numbers, okay? Now, the serpent eating his tail, this is the point of the portal, is to bring Apollo through. Now, watch this magic. So the point, I'll blow it up a little bit. So the point is to bring Apollo through, right? And they want to bring him through the portal. Now, I don't know how much of this stuff happens on accident. I don't know how much of this stuff is planned out on the enemy. I don't know. All I can show you is what I was shown, and it blew my mind. It will probably blow yours. All right, so we want to bring Apollo through, which is 77, right? 7/11, 9/11. This is about Apollo. 77 is Apollo. So it's 77 on their side. It's also 77 on our side. So what do I mean? Watch this. In between the 1 and the 6, right? Now remember, it's the portal, but it's also numbers 1 to 9, right? 0 to 9. Numerical, right? So in between the 1 and the 6, that portal is 2, 3, 4, 5, which is 14, which is 77. So in between the 1 and the 6 right now is 77 with 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 and 2 is 7. 4 and 3 is 7. So between 1 and 6, you see 1776, only it's written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I hope you're seeing what I'm trying to say, okay? Now, here is the spell. And by all means, if you have questions, ask. Because I know the understanding, but I don't know how to portray the understanding perfectly. Okay, God gave it to me perfectly, and I can understand it as He gave it to me because He's awesome, and I'm not. But I give it to you as best I can. All right. So as I said, the 67 was how the spell started. Satan and his angels, right? They opened this portal, this 38. Okay, the 3 8s, which opened up the doorway to the Antichrist 101. All right, so now the doorway is opened. So 176 represents the next stage. So let me go over here. I'm going to zoom out just a scotch. I know it's a little small. Well, I'm sorry. But I got to zoom back and forth, and so I want to make sure that we're able to see what I have written down here. So I've written 76 divided by 2 is 38. So you have the 7-headed dragon, his angels, the 6. They create the portal, which is the 38, all right, which is 101. 3 is the third of the angels, and 8 is the portal, and the angels go in. Okay, so that's what's happening, but it's the same on their side, only different. So 67 on their side is 33.5. That's 38, because 5 and 3 is 8. Third of the angels and Satan, 23, create a portal for the fallen and Q to go through 38, which is why you have 33.5. This is the spirit of Antichrist, the 0.5. Remember, I was telling you that at the cross, when the doorway to Christ was opened up, the doorway to Antichrist was opened up. This is the 0.5, and this 0.5 will represent Obama. But right now, it just represents the spirit of Antichrist being let loose onto the earth. So now you have the spirit of Antichrist, the Nephilim coming back through being given life through humanities in different ways. Right before the fallen angels slept with the women, they gave birth to the Nephilim, gave them life. This time, humans are giving the Nephilim life through using their DNA and supercharging them and spreading them across the earth and connecting ourselves to their spiritual energy. So we are again giving life to the Nephilim through the teachings and through the fallen angels. It's the same thing, only this time spiritual. Okay? Now, so now the 1 is here. Now the 176 divided by 2 is 88. And you can see 671 divided by 2 is 3355.5. Now, watch what's happening here. So now you see there's another 5 opening up. So this is Satan, his angels, and the spirit of Antichrist. Now, you'll understand why Satan, Satan's 23, because we've done the 23 video. Well, Obama is 32, which is 23 backwards. Okay? 23 and 23 is 55, which is Satan and Obama. I hope you guys can see what I'm trying to show you. This stuff is kind of stuff we've talked a little bit about, not what I'm talking about right here, but the numbers and what they mean and stuff. All right, so 176 on our side divided by 2, that's 88. So the angels have come through, they've given life to their children. 176, the Nephilim are through, and they can start to work on building Nakarima with the New World Order. On their side, it's 671. Okay, so that divided by 2 is 5.5, which is also 88. 55 and 33 is 88. Now, the fallen are on work on their side with the spirit of Antichrist and Satan from his side. Okay, so the spirit has gone through and now Satan. So there's the fallen, the spirit, and Satan is working on his side. Okay, because the spirit of the Antichrist, the 5, and the fallen, the 3rd, have made it through. Okay, they're in. Satan's still locked away. He's the prison now. Okay? So 1776. Now this divided in half is 888 and 888. Now, if you do it in the mirror dimension, you get 85.5. So now you can see that an 8 has begun to open up. So all this work that they're doing to try and create these portals to escape are now manifesting. Because of 1776, you can now see that an 8 has entered into the 3355. Okay? So a portal is opening inside. Not good. Now, what I've written over here on our side of the mirror, 1776 divided by 2, 888. So the New World Order, prepping world for worship of the coming beast and his kingdom, America, begins. Okay, on their side, it is space is open and darkness is coming through and the earth begins its demise. All right, now, this is the final step. And I'll show you how and why I know this. I'm going to show you everything that I know. I'm going to show to you. And that is a promise. How long it's going to take, how many videos we'll have to do, I have no idea. That remains to be seen. So the finalization is the third 7. Okay? How can we tell this? Because you can see that the whole point, right? Let me blow this up. The whole point of this spell was to break out of the 88. The whole point was for Satan and his angels to be free of the 88. And it is not until there are 3 7s on the enemy's side where there is an 88 in their portal. Okay? You can see 33, 88, 55. This is the completion of the spell. 888 or 8888 and 8888. Now, watch. 17,776 totals up to 28. Okay? Now, if we do the opposite of what we always do and add things together and we break them down, 28 is 2026. That's this year. Now, this is just one thing that points to this year. And the second one I'm going to show you is like this one. You could be like, well, it's 28. Could be anything. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I cannot argue that. But the final one I'm going to show you, you won't be able to argue with that. This I saw after I had built all of this stuff. This was unveiled to me. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's 2026, which made so much sense because I was already working this thing from a whole different angle and got this year as well as to the year that the pit is opened. All right, so what's up with America and Nakarima? Well, American and Nakarima are both the same letters, obviously, just backwards. So you have 64 for a numerical value. That's 8 times 8, 88. 8 letters. So on each side, you have 888. Okay, 1776, Nakarima American, the mixing of the spell. Now, here's some more proof, right? I said until the third 7 comes, the spell doesn't receive its 88. Well, this is the 250th anniversary of 1776. 2 plus 5 is 7. Here is the final 7. So when you drop in the 250-year 7 anniversary of this wicked spell, then you open the portal. It's open time and space. Okay, this final 7 from the 250-year anniversary unlocks the pit. Now, I'm going to show you everything I'm saying. I know I'm giving you a lot to chew on. All right, and rightly so. But I promise you, I will explain it. All right, now, something that's important to understand is that 1776, the ritual magic, when they claim Independence Day, what it really is independence from God. Okay, they're building the final beast kingdom. Think about that. It's not independence from the world, it's independence from God. The Revolutionary War to build the beast kingdom, a land of freedom from the fear of God, where you can be anything you want. People worship America at the feet of Lucifer, the Statue of Liberty, SOL. So let me zoom out here. I think I want to. So here, we're going to go over here. Well, you know what? Let's do this part first. All right. I just want, as I said, these are just notes. So I'm going to read it to you. It might be something that I've said already, but I just want to make sure I cover everything. And these are notes for people that go through it when I'm not going through it live, because this is going to be the only time I go through it live. I will make other videos, but this will be the only time it's live. So, okay. So I already told you all that. That was about the eights. Now watch. So this is when the spell came to be. All right. And I'll show it to you. Watch. So there's 8 AD, then there's 88 AD, and then there's 888 AD. Right. So think about that. So there's 8, the year 8, then there's the year 88, and then there's the year 888. Okay. So that's what we're looking at here. Now, 8 and 88, so you can see 8 AD and 88 AD together are 888. And then 888 AD is another 888. So when you get to here, to this 888, when you get to, trying to figure out a way to explain this to you. So when you get to the year 888, this is the spell of 1776, right? Try to understand. I may be over explaining, I don't know, but if you take your 8 from 8 AD and the 88 from the 88 AD and you add them together, you get 3 8s. Then the next progression of 8s that comes is an 888 AD. So now if you take this 888 and add it to the other 888, then you have 1776. This is when the spell was placed. Now, I'm sure some of you are going, dude, there's no way it's only been 140 years or whatever. Listen, I'm just going to ask you to suspend all disbelief until you see what I have to show you. Okay? You really got to. Yeah, the book of Joel. Amen. Yeah, exactly. And Amos. Okay, so here you go. So the 88 is the portal to break free of time and space, and the 888 is the possession of the third temple. Now, the first 2 towers represented the first 2 temples, the 88. Then the third tower, the third temple, was built in its place. So another 8. And now these 888 mirrors the timelines of 888. And now the World Trade Center, this third temple, is 1,776 foot needle to bring their world into our world. So you can see that think of the one world trade as a mirror that allows things to go through, pass through. It's like a meeting place where the 2 realms meet. All right. Now, I've already told you about the Nakarima in America, but the American supercharges the spells. So until 9/11, everybody wanted to be American, right? And even afterwards, people wanted to be an American, land of the free, the best nation on earth, greatest nation, world leader, world superpower. Whether you loved America or feared America, you worshiped the nation. Now, all the world is worshiping America because of the New World Order, because of this 1776 spell. Okay, every nation on earth has been reprogrammed at the same time with the same program. And we're going to get into all that, asylums, all that kind of crazy stuff. All right. Now, I talk about 7. I'm talking about 7. We're talking about 13. We're talking about 28. Okay, this is crazy because this little Abbott and Costello clip came across my feed, and just happened to be talking about 7, 13, and 28. So let's just give this a watch. It's pretty funny. Maybe. I don't know. Now, that's just comedy, but that's exactly like what he was doing with numbers. That's like how ritual magic works. Now, I know obviously he was just doing nonsense, but the way he was coming up with the same answers, like that's exactly what was going on. So when that came across my feed, I couldn't even believe it. I just started laughing. I was like, "Oh my goodness." All right, now let's dive into this. Let's start to dissect this a little bit. All right? So, on October 12th, 1773, America's first insane asylum opens. Now, it's no coincidence that the asylum opens as people rejected the programming. So they locked them up and performed tests on them to see if there was a way to brainwash the programming in over time. They learned how to do it, and the best way to brainwash somebody is through screens when they do it to themselves, right? So, as you can see, I've linked articles over here. I'm not going to read everything. I've given you guys the link to this flow chart so you can check it out. But you can see America opens its first asylum. Now, isn't it interesting that before the New World Order 1776, they had to start opening asylums? Now, I would say this is take away the year 773. So you guys are probably wondering, how does the 1,000 years fit into this? See, this is what I'm saying. There's so much stuff to say. Like, I don't know how to give it to you in an order. So if it seems jumbly or jumping around, by all means, my apologies. I'm just trying to give you everything. All right. So the Civil War was Nakarima versus America, the old world versus the new world, and it was earth-wide. Okay. Now, here is the most important, the new nation that will control the earth, the springboard for the New World Order and the Beast Kingdom. Without it, nothing would work. So, in order to say America is the freest nation on earth, you have to make sure that the other nations on earth are not as free as America. So, in this way, all the nations took part in this reset. And this is the reset that people talk about, the Great Reset. And I'm going to show you exactly when it happened, exactly how it happened, and I got proofs for this stuff. All right, so we have Civil War, which is 4/12/861. I just removed the 1. Okay, 4 is the third of 12. All right, 4 is the third of 12. 8's the portal. 7 is the 1 in the 6. And that was from 5/26/865. So 76, 8 portal, 101. Now 865, when the Civil War ended, is 23 years to the year 888. Okay, now just think about how I'm laying this out for you. A civil war was fought before 23 years before 1776 was put into place. All right, now watch. When 1776 is put into place in the year of 888, this is how the 1 entered our timeline, and it represents the beginning of the end. Okay? Just like it did at the beginning of the spell, the 1 represents the beginning of the end. Now, keep in mind, this does not mean that everything reverts back to 1776 only. That the story from 888 turns into 1888 points back to a false history, which is the spell, the New World Order, the Matrix. So, a simplified way of thinking of this may be to say that when 888 became 1776, it doesn't mean that stuff that they say, like up here, 1773, you can see that the first asylums were in 1773. Now, if we're going to use the old math before the spell work, this would be the year, we'd take the 1 off, 773, which is almost 100 years before 888. So these insane asylums started popping up almost 100 years before the finalization of the 1776 spell. So it's not like things didn't happen in 700, but if it says 1700, 1600, 1500, that means it happened in 500, 600, or 1700. Okay, anything before the year 888 is a single number. There is no 1. Okay? The 1 wasn't added until this year, and it had to be that way because of the timeline going back to the future, which I'll show you in a minute. All right. Same time, the orphan trains, Cabbage Patch Kids. Yeah, we're going to be talking about all that stuff. Not tonight, but yes, all that stuff. Yeah. Everything you've ever heard of mentioned in the world, we're going to talk about it, and I'm going to show you where it fits into this timeline and exactly how it operated inside of this system. I'm telling you, this system exposed the entire Earth. It's so crazy. All right, so let's see. So World War I, right? 728, 914, 1111, 1918. This was to clean out rejects, stragglers missed by the Civil War, New World Order versus Old World Order. This is the Earth-wide between allies, central powers wiped them out and create this world domination. Remember, this was something that was taking place across the Earth. So once nations were doing their part, nations had to join up and do more together as a unit. That way they could get more world domination. So, no coincidence. 100 years ago, the Spanish flu in 1919. The mirror for Apollo brought the world under submission, just like COVID. All right. Prohibition from 1920 to 1933. That's 13 years. That's 76. Okay. This wasn't about stopping drinking. Remember, I told you it was to get everybody dependent on Nephilim DNA. And a lot of that Nephilim DNA was put into your automobile as oil and gas. Okay. Now, in Prohibition, 1920 to 33, this wasn't about stopping drinking. They could have cared less if you drink yourself to death. This was due to gas shortages, okay? Because during this time, moonshiners were making high-proof alcohol, and they were using it to run their vehicles instead of gasoline. So they weren't using the Nephilim DNA. They were working outside of the program, right? So since they weren't using Nephilim DNA to run their iron, they had to put an end to it. And so they made alcohol illegal until they could build up the infrastructure of the oil market to provide a flow, a flow that won't stop of oil. And that's what prohibition was. It was because people weren't consuming the Nephilim DNA. So that's why it needed to be put an end to. Now, World War II, 9/1, 1939, 9/2, 1945. That was 6 years in one day, which pretty interesting because there's your 1 and your 6. World War II caused many things to happen. The world came under one belief. Nazis were vilified. Jews were exalted. This created hate for a straw man while exalting Antichrist worshippers and America's false savior. World War III, this is the final attack, the dark spiritual attack on the third temple that will be disguised and hidden in the war, the most brutal war. So over here, you'll see that I have all the things from Wiki for the wars, the laid out nations. I have Albert Pike's letter to Mazzini about the 3 world wars over here, linked to the wars. Down here, this is the prohibition area, which I'm not going to read to you, but everything that was taking place that I was just discussing with you about prohibition and gas and oil and stuff like that, it's in here. Okay, so this is all about that. So by all means, feel free to check that out. Now, what I'm going to show you right now is going to blow your minds. So I hope you're ready. Okay? Because I told you, where is it? Okay? Right here, I said it all started on their end at 6-7. And it all ends on our end at 6-7. Remember, it's a reflection. So if 6-7 is their beginning, 6-7 is our end. This is a sign. 6-7, you guys. This is the beginning of our end. The spell is winding up, and 6-7 is the sign. Why do you think all these kids are possessed, saying 6-7 while they make gesture of the scales of judgment? I don't know why these ain't working good. Let me. Says double click to interact. Oh, there we go. Check.
Of the year. If you're just as confused as the
6-7.
Hold on, what in the world is 6-7? And how did 6-7 become dictionary.com's word of the year? If you're just as confused as
That's right, it's dictionary.com's word of the year is 6-7, you guys.
of the year. If you're just as confused as the rest of us, well, you're not alone. Here's the breakdown. For the younger Gen Alpha crowd, 6-7 actually means absolutely nothing. And that's the point. It is to annoy the adults. You ask them what it means, they'll just stare at you and go, D7! But how did this shenanigan even come about? Well, some say it's actually derived from Skrilla's song Dude Dude 6-7. Then TikTok did its thing, where one creator used the track for a basketball edit referencing NBA player LaMelo Ball, who stands at 6'7", and boom, it went viral. Then there's the kid who made 6-7 go even more viral, Maverick Trevelyan. He yelled, "6-7!" while doing that signature up and down hand move, and the rest is history. So yeah, it started as nonsense, and now it's word of the year. Honestly, maybe we're the problem.
Okay, so you can see 6-7 is not even a word, it's a number, and it became the word of the year. And you can see that they're going up and down. They're showing you the scales of judgment. This is a sign, you guys, from God. These kids are all saying 6-7. This is the beginning of the spell, which is at our end. This means that this 6-7 is a sign for us that we are at the end, you guys. Okay? No questions asked. We are at the end. Now, right? So, you can see here, this is the article. Dictionary.com reveals 6-7. It's 2025 word of the year. How dumb is this, you guys? Right? Look how it's become this whole thing, and all these children are being possessed by it. This is spiritual. Now, this kid was asked, the kid who started 6-7, why he said it. Listen to what he says.
even happen? I know you were at a basketball game, right?
Yeah, RWE.
RWE, was someone just taking a video and you just yelled out 6'7"?
Yeah, so like, the camera pointed to me, my friend Mason.
So your friend's name is Mason?
No, Mason.
No way.
I just like thought of something really quick because like that camera's gonna be in for like at least like 5-10 seconds. So I had to think of something fast, so I just said 6'7".
6'7"? Hey, 6'7"! Did it even happen? I know you were at a basketball.
So he's got a friend named Mason, he says. 6'7". This is not an accident, you guys. Okay? 6'7". What you're watching is spiritual wickedness manifesting into this world through our children. That's what you're watching. Now, how does this spell work? Like, why does it work? Well, the important thing to remember is that all the world is a stage. And so this is what I'm giving you right now is the surface, but we will be digging into and getting into the deeper guts of this thing in different videos, but we're getting the surface stuff right now. So I'm going to give you a surface history, but later on I'm going to give you a really deep history where we tie in a lot more stuff. All right? So during Nakarima culture, they appeared as men of high stature. So this is what the fallen angels did. Okay, the fallen angels, when they returned, they took high positions of government, influencers, and they influenced the culture to create and build this new nation and this new system run on DNA of the Nephilim, oil, the lifeblood of the nations. And they wanted to create this whole thing. So they were men of high stature where they could influence other people. All right, now, once that stage was over and the 76 spell was enacted, they became political leaders, oil barons, bankers, movie stars, rock stars, authors, news anchors, which kind of sounds like noose anchor, I wrote, because I was like, oh, it does sound like noose anchor, like they're hanging you out. Sports stars, any and all that will influence, they play their role. When some man or woman becomes famous selling their soul, they are eventually sacrificed behind the scenes, and a fallen angel shapeshifter takes their place and their worship over and over. Now, if you've ever seen the series Westworld, you will know exactly what I'm trying to put forward to you. Okay? When you create a new world, you need people in it to start it. Okay? Like with Westworld, they created a Wild West scenarios. But you can create all the Wild West scenarios you want without any people interacting and living inside of this Wild West scenario. All you have is buildings and empty land. You need to populate it. Okay, and in Westworld, they use AI. But in the real populating America and teaching people how to interact with the New World Order, this is where the fallen angels came in. And they acted as the people who already lived here, and we learned how to live inside of this system by them until they were no longer needed. So watch. Now, I have just learned some disturbing news about this guy I'm about to show you. So I did put in huge red letters, not a true Christian, because I did give you his link, because this guy does really good side-by-side comparisons, but he says some things that are disturbing, and his Christianity is most certainly in question 100%. And but if you want to see how it's possible for these fallen angels to keep shape-shifting throughout time, over time, becoming things, you can go check it out. There's all kinds, and see these things actually manifesting. And it's good to know, but do not take any faith advice from this guy. You want to go see side-by-side comparisons? Great channel for it. All right, now, this is why they say all the world's a stage, and this is why Albert Pike said that whenever people need a hero, we shall supply him, right? This is why no president has any power. They're all just acting. Everybody is acting. Look, the acting president is a person who temporarily fills the role of a country's president when the incumbent president is unavailable or when the position is vacant. Okay, they expect you to be stupid. Let's not be stupid. This says the acting president. So not a real president, but an actor. Okay? The acting president is a person who temporarily fills the role of the country's president when the incumbent is unavailable or when the position is vacant. Okay, so every president is temporary. They're all temporarily filling the position of the presidency. So this is literally telling you that every single president is an acting president. They're all acting. All of them. Okay? All of them. You want to see how easy it is to brainwash mankind? You want to see why this works? Here is a simple experiment. Watch this.
To answer that question, we set up a hidden camera experiment to see if this woman would stand up at the sound of this tone, simply because everyone else is. You might be thinking you'd never go along with this. Or would you? After just 3 beeps, and without knowing why she's doing it, this woman is now conforming perfectly to the group. But what happens if we take the group away?
Elaine, please.
Okay, now she's alone. The crowd is gone and nobody is watching her, except our hidden cameras. What do you think she'll do? She's now conforming to the rules of the group without them even being there. Now, watch what happens when we introduce another outsider who doesn't know the rules.
Have a seat and they'll be out in just a couple minutes. Thanks so much.
Everybody was doing it, so I thought I was supposed to.
Think she'll teach the new guy what to do? We kept the cameras rolling as more unsuspecting patients arrived. And slowly but surely, what began as a random rule for this woman has now become the social norm for everyone in this waiting room. Here to explain what's going on in their brains is Jonah Berger of the University of Pennsylvania.
All right, so see how easy it is to program a person? It's not even difficult, you guys. Okay? Now look. I have over here, which seems to be fuzzy for some reason. Maybe I'll zoom in a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, it's a little fuzzy. But anyways, you can see here this, and this one is linked. It will bring you to this web page right here. Okay. And it is, let me blow this up a little bit. This is a website on how brainwashing works. Okay. Now, you'll see here there's a lot of contents. But when it comes to brainwashing, there's only 3 stages. Stage 1, breaking down the self. Stage 2, the possibility of salvation. And stage 3, rebuilding the self. Now, what I have done is connected it to this article, the 3 stages of education, primary, middle, and lower secondary, which can be lower and higher, right? So these are the same exact stages as brainwashing that you get in school. So what I've done here, and here's the 3 stages. So you can look at this. Well, I guess we can look at it. I mean, we got time. All right. So stage 1 is breaking down the self. Now, I just showed you a video on how easy it is to brainwash adults. Okay. Now we're talking about children, not adults. We're talking about kids. Now, I've written this thing out here because it's important to understand. So basically what I did was I summed up, the stuff on each and put it into a list. So the formative years are 0 to 8, they say. That's like the most spongy years. So, and they want to get you into school by 5 or 6. Okay, and they put you in the K through 12 program, which is 23. K is 11, so you have 23. This is the program is 23. So K through 5 is elementary school. This is where you teach kids how to accept the program, how to accept the bell, the schedule, the curriculum, making sure that you spell everything correctly. Now, this is Enoch 69, 8, 10, to 10, and it says, and the 4th was named Penemu, talking about the Satans. And he taught the children of men the bitter and the sweet, and he taught the secrets of their wisdom. And he instructed mankind in writing with ink and paper, and thereby many have sinned from eternity to eternity until this day. For men were not created for such a purpose, to give confirmation to their good faith with pen and ink. So Penemu, one of the Satans, this is why we call the spelling wands pens and pencils. And that's what they are. They're wands that spell. They're spell casting wands. I know this is weird to think about it, but Penemu, this is where pen and pencils come from. Penemu. All right. Now, we were not supposed to write. And this is exactly why. Okay, because what happens is they take this Nephilim DNA, it's inside of the pencils as graphite, it's inside of the pens, and we take this Nephilim DNA. Keep in mind, this is the same DNA that's in the cars and the plastic in the world that's making this world run. That same DNA is the same thing they're putting in the hands of your children and getting them to write these spells down. Okay, so with your pencils, with your little magic wand, your little Nephilim graphite magic wand, you're casting a programming spell over yourself as you write down your new beliefs. Okay, training you to stay in line with program or beliefs. Strict I deleted something here. Beliefs strict training you to stay in line with the programming or you get in trouble. So this is stage 1, breaking down the self, programming the child how to take the program, right? It all starts with the beginning. And you can see here that in primary school it says children, classes 1 to 5. The committee felt at the primary stage of change, the child's spontaneity, curiosity, creativity, activity should not be restricted by rigid and unattractive method of teaching and environment for learning. This is what should not be restricted. What's the first thing they do? They restrict you. Okay? It is also expected that the child should develop a respect for national symbols like the flag and the anthem. Here's the programming. Brainwashing. The child should learn the method of inquiry in science, develop facility in 4 fundamental numerical operations, learn the first language, which should generally be the mother tongue, appreciate the dignity of labor, imbue habits of cleanliness, develop aesthetic taste, learn to cooperate with others, and be able to express freely in creative activities, and acquire habits of self-learning. So you can see here, this is the stage. The same stage of brainwashing is the same stage of school. Let's continue. Stage 2, the possibility of salvation. In Lifton's second stage of brainwashing, agents present the individual with a perceived pathway to salvation or relief from their suffering. Keep in mind, this is when kids are going through adolescence and puberty and are confused. They're brought into this new place, this possibility of salvation, where their emotions and their hormonal imbalance can be used against them. This creates hope and dependence as the target begins to believe that compliance with the agent's demand is the only way to attain relief or safety, deepening their vulnerability to manipulation. It's almost like that's exactly what's happening in the schools. The middle stage consists of classes 6 to 9 or 6 to 8. At this stage, children face adjustment problems in the family as well as society. As such, the committee felt that the curriculum for this age should take into account the social demands, especially in the case of girls. The objectives of the education for the middle stage continue to be the same as the previous stage, but they operate at a higher level of complexity, involving greater knowledge, deeper understanding, and grasp of principles. Therefore, they should develop an understanding based on knowledge through the proper study of history, geography, and the values enshrined in our Constitution. Okay? History, lie. Geography, lie. Values enshrined in our Constitution, unbiblical. At this stage, children should learn a second language, and a third language can also be introduced. The necessities of introducing physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics has also been stressed in order that children meaningfully relate science to life. Adequate attention to environmental education, nutrition, health, population education should also be given. This is the stage where work experience should be introduced. So you see what's happening. They're training you to become a member of America. They're training you to join the beast system. This is training. They're training you how to be a good slave. Good slave. Very well behaved. Here is your reward. Once those critical early stages of brainwashing are complete, it's time to move on to more harmonious, if destructive, relationship. The target is now presented with a path to alleged progress in harmony. Like, your pathway to college or into the workforce. In other words, if you want, you can choose good at this stage. The agent stops the abuse, offering the target physical comfort and mental calm in conjunction with the new belief system. The target is made to feel that they must choose between old and new, giving them the sense that their fate is in their own hands. You mean just like high school? Where they take off the gloves and they give you freedom, and for once you feel like you can finally stretch your legs. Let me read you what I wrote in my notes. All right. So once they've done that, so 6 to 8, that's junior high or middle school. You allow kids to learn to choose within the parameter of choices. A bit of freedom within the system, but still restricted. Kids learn about who they are, start to test the boundaries, and are quickly corrected. 9 to 12, high school. This is the finish line for mandatory programming. Here, kids repeat the same kind of functions, learning how to interact in social environments, seeing how inside these parameters of illusion of choice they can choose more as they become more successful within the confines of the system, promoting a feeling of success and freedom inside the prison that was built for them and they have trained for the last 13 years. They can get more recognition and success if they accept and excel in the program. Okay, all the ones who have accepted the program go to college. These ones get rewarded with debt, promised student loan forgiveness for as long as I can remember, and given nothing. They just keep rolling in. These students cannot think. These are fully programmed automatons. There will also be those who enter the workforce and begin their 50-plus years of mandatory tax labor while being promised a future of the American dream, paying taxes on everything, feeding the beast that will one day consume them. The more you work, the more you make, the more you think you're winning. Hamsters in a running wheel, cogs in a machine, an iron kingdom. Now, there will also be those who reject the programming, and they will become criminals against the criminal system they live inside. And they will be charged with crimes and locked up. They will subcontract their confinement to private prisons who will make sure they stay locked up. It's a system. The reason schools and prison are the same is because the programming and reprogramming and housing. When you're a kid, the initial programming is there. You can reject the system, but the programming's still there. So what am I trying to tell you? So school and prison are the same thing. You are trained in school ultimately for prison. Worst case scenario. So work, school, and prison all run on the same system of programming and control, training for wherever you are going to end up. Now, what am I talking about? So let's look here. Here on the left, you have prisons and schools, and I will tell you, you can also incorporate your workplace into this, okay? Both have bells. Prisons have wardens, schools have administrators. Both have gates and walls. Both have unlocked door, one unlocked door for access. They both have time schedule for activities. There's a high inmate to guard ratio in the prison. There's a high student to teach ratio in the school. Lots of inmates in prison, lots of students in school. They both eat in the cafeteria. They both have drab-looking facades. They both do lockdown drills. Or they do lockdown drills in school, but they do actual lockdowns in prison. Both have cramped quarters, both socialization and mentality, both have mass showers for schools, at the secondary level. You get cellmates in prison, you get classmates in school, and then there is the cost. So in school, you are trained to operate on a bell system, a schedule system, and many students are taught to fear the discipline of one teacher. Now, watch what happens here. Okay? Children are taught how to behave in a group, right? Even though there's tons of people, there's tons of kids, there's only one teacher, the kids behave because they've been taught that the teacher is who they submit to. And this just keeps going up, the whole system. Right now, whether or not you're going to accept the programming or reject the programming, you have to understand that the programming is still there. What am I meaning? So, people who grow up, they go through school, they receive the programming, but when they get older, they reject the programming, right? They become criminals or gangsters or whatever. They do their own thing. They are rejecting the program. But the programming's still in them. So when they go to prison, even though the inmates outnumber the guards, that programming from school kicks in. And that program that was put in them in their formative years that says a bunch of you can't rebel against this authority figure, they carry that into work, they carry that into prison, and this is why there doesn't need to be so many prison guards as there is prisoners, because they taught you in school how to behave as a mass with minimal authority over you. And this is exactly how the controllers control the earth. You see, it goes from the top to the bottom, all the way. The system is the same all the way up. All right? Now, let's see here. The final thing I'm going to show you this evening is the Great Reset. You always hear people talk about the Great Reset, right? Well, I'm going to show it to you. I'm not going to speculate. I'm going to show you facts. Now, I'll blow this up. And then you guys just try to bear with me as best you can. Okay? So, think about everything we've talked about. All the numbers, everything, what it all means. All right? Now, remember that the final 7 is the 250th anniversary. In order to understand what I'm about to show you, you have to remember the stuff I've already shown you. Okay? So, watch what happens. This is what the Great Reset is. Okay? In the year 888, they enacted the spell of many workings. It is 1776. Now, the year appeared to go forward, but actually went back in time 112 years. This is where the term back to the future comes from. Because even though they went back 112 years, right? So watch what I mean here. Let me get a notepad opened up for you. And we'll drag this over here. We'll blow these up a little bit. Okay, so what am I talking about? So, right? So the year is 888. Okay? So when they decide to say it's 1776, it's actually going back 112 years to the year 776, because the 1 is fake. You see what I'm saying to you? Right? The 1 is fake. So they're actually going back in time, even though it looks like they're going into the future. So they're going back to the future. You can see here with this diagram, I've shown you they went back to the future. Okay? This is how this movie and Trump and all this stuff fits in. I got a bunch of Back to the Future stuff to blow your minds. I mean, insanely blow your minds. So watch. All right? So Back to the Future. So 888 minus 112 is 776. Okay? Now, if we divide 112 by 2, that's 56, which is 101. Here is that doorway opened up at the Antichrist at the 888 year through this spell they're adding onto it. This gets really crazy and deep, so try to bear with me, all right? Now, I'm going to write all this out in a way so that we can try to understand it if I need to. So, now according to the spell, and this is what you have to understand, there's a true year and there's a spell year. Okay, now according to the spell 1776, this is the 250th anniversary 2026. Right? So according to the spell, it's been 250 years and the year is 2026. All right? Now, if the year is actually 888, all right, so I just showed you if the year is 1776, they've said it's been 250 years, 2026, okay? Now, if the year isn't 1776, because it's not, that's the spell, the actual year is 888. And you added 250 years onto the 888, you're going to get 1138. All right, so all I've done is take the true year, the fake year, and figure out the difference between the true year 888 and the fake year without the one, obviously, to figure out the difference. Then I took the fake year, took the math that they put on it to be this year, the 250th anniversary. So since 1776 is a fake year, then we want to take the true year and add the 250 years that they want to add onto the true year, and we get 1138. Now, watch this. Now, oops, hold on. Bear with me. Ready? Watch this. So, we did 888 minus 776, right? And this is the answer, 112. So when we went backwards from 888 with the fake year, we get 112. Now, if this is all about when Satan is released and the 1,000 years is up, we want to know when that 1,000 years is, don't we? So then we take our 1,000 years, because we know it's 1,000 years, the Bible says so. And then we minus the 888 from the 1,000 years, and guess what you get? You get 112, which is the same exact thing that you get if you go the opposite direction with the 776. You get 112. Now, watch what happens here. You have to watch the screen here. So 1,000 years of the imprisonment minus the year 888 when the spell was done is 112 years. And when the spell was done to the going back in time to 1776, that's 112 years. Now, if you take the 888 and the 888 from these two different things and you add them together, it's 1776. And if you take the 1,000 and the 776, you add those together, it's also 1776. Now, this is where it gets really crazy. Watch. All right, that's the part I just showed you. Now, watch this. This is where the math comes in. All right. So, I've shown you that if we take the 250 years that they want to add on to the spell to bring it to this year, and we add that 250 on to the actual year that the spell was done, which was 888, it makes 1138. Okay, bear with me. Now, we had this 112 years, which was the discrepancy up and down between the 1,000 and 888 and 776 and 88 and 888. So, if we want to know what year the pit is going to be open, we have to take our numerical value we got, 888 plus the 250 to 1138, and we need to minus this fake 112 years from it. Yeah, that's right. It's 1026, which is this year. So, in the very beginning, I showed you how at the culmination of the spell, it came out to a total of 28, which is 2026. Now, here I've shown you in a completely different way, using legitimate math with their spell, and it's coming out to this true year, 1026, without the fake one added on. This year actually is 1026, and this actually is the year that the pit will be opened according to the numbers. This is what the numbers say, that this is the year that Revelation 9 happens. Okay? Now watch. 1026 is also 1 plus 2 is 3, so 36. Then you have 216, which adds up to 9. 3 and 6 is 9, number of the beast. You have 216, which is 6 times 6 times 6. All right, so this whole year is all about 666. And when I get to Obama and Trump, you guys' minds are going to break in half. Now, to wind us down, okay, I have made this grand finale of a Back to the Future clip. And I am going to play it, and I'm not going to talk through it. So watch what I'm showing you, because every number that I just showed you is about to be inside of this. Watch this. It's about 10-ish minutes, but it will not be boring for 1 second. I promise you that. Whoa, what happened here?
Einstein's clock is in precise synchronization with my control watch.
So you'll see here that it starts with 81188, the portal, for 911 Apollo. Okay? Then he gets into the car. 1 clock on this side, 1 clock on that side, just like the spell is done.
Got it. Right, check them. Good. Watch ahead. My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, when this baby hits...
And out of time is 104, which represents 77. Apollo, it's also 5, and it has 8 letters, so 58 inside the 11, which is made by the flames. So you can see the 11 make the doorway for the Antichrist to be entered into by Apollo.
Where the hell are they? The appropriate question is time circuits on. This readout tells you where you're going, this one tells you where you are, this one tells you where you were. Put your destination time on this keypad. Say you want to see the sign of the Declaration of Independence.
This keeps getting crazier and crazier. I'm literally making a video about this spell, 1776, 4th of July. Like, I'm literally making this video, and this is the first destination they put in. Come on. I mean, seriously. Come on.
Or witness the birth of Christ.
This is their ode to Apollo, for Apollo is who's celebrated on December 25th. Him and all the other false Christs were born on December 25th, which I have shown in my Christmas video. But interesting, they do the 1776 spell. The next destination is Christmas, or the birth of Christ, the false Christ, so being reborn.
Here's a red letter date in the history of science, November 5th, 1955.
And wouldn't you know it, here we have Trump's election day and the Guy Fawkes Day from V is for Vendetta. I've talked about this in the Trump videos. Remember, the 5th of November in the year of 55, Satan. 11-5 is also 55, Satan. And of course, Trump is the 88 portal. And he was the 9th and 11th, the 45th and the 47th president, 9/11. You can't make this stuff up. And this movie is from the 80s. And here it is, predicting the future. This is how they try to convince people that time travel is possible. Only spirits can travel through time.
Of course, November 5th, 1955. That was the day I invented time travel. I was standing on the edge of my toilet, hanging a clock. The porcelain was wet. I slipped, hit my head on the edge of the sink. I had a revelation, a vision, a picture of this. This is what makes time travel possible.
This represents the womb. This is how they travel through time. Same spirit, different bodies, but when they possess the body, then their thoughts are in the mind of that body. And when those thoughts are in the mind of the body, it makes them feel like they were back in time before and that they have traveled through time. It is the same spirit traveling through time through people, possessing generation after generation, traveling through the womb, the matrix.
Flux capacitor. The flux capacitor. Flux capacitor.
So here you see the 61, and in the 1776 spell reversed, this is how it is in the demonic realm. So when we're looking at the date, we see October 26, 1985, 124. So you can see October is 10, cancel the 0, and you have 216, which is 6 times 6 times 6, and 58 and 19. I'll have to pause it for just a second because as I'm looking at this, I'm just seeing something else. I showed you the math we just did showed you that the year the pit was opened is 1026. And if you look at October is 10 and the day is 26. So here you have 10, 26, 19 and 58. Just wanted to show you that, like, here is 1026, another date that I just showed you being portrayed in this movie. And this is the year of the pit is supposed to open 10/26, although it's written October 26. We're using it as month year. Or no, total year, 10/26, sorry. And then at the time marker on the end, you have 1/6. If you go down to November, you have November, which is 11. 1 and 1 is 2. And 2 and 1 is 3 from the 12. So 23, 19 for Apollo, 55 for Satan, and then cancel out the zeros at the end, and you have 13. 7, 6. These are all the numbers we have been looking at in the 1776 spell. So right at the end of this scene, I'm going to show you something with the mileage per hour and the odometers. You can see that the screen is dark in this scene as Marty's coming up to 88 miles an hour. And you will see that this false light, this blue light of Lucifer, comes on the dashboard right when the speed is at 74, which is 47, which represents spiritual possession, which is exactly what the blue light does. Then you will see it goes up to 75, which is 57 for 5G. And then it goes to 76 for the spell. And then it goes up to 77 right before the scene change. And I'm going to show you something on the tachometer after. So now let me show you the odometer. Okay, you'll notice that the top is 33051 and the bottom is 076.3. Okay, you can't see this number here. It's kind of blurred out, but you can clearly see all these and you can clearly see all these. Now, you'll remember from the beginning of the spell on their side, if you did 67 divided by 2, it was 33.5. And then you have 13 for 76 left over. This is absolutely nuts. When this car scene cuts in, it's at 86 miles per hour. That is the numerical value for Nephilim. It is also 716. So when the clock strikes 10:04, the lightning strikes. Okay, 10:04, get rid of the zeros, is 14, which is 77, Apollo, Satan, and Jesus said, I saw Satan as lightning fall from heaven. And look at this lightning. It looks like a serpent coming around and then opens up at the head of it. It looks just like a snake. All right, so the serpent comes down as lightning, hits this clock tower to break out of time, which is 77. Apollo comes down, shoots down through the line, the copper line that the power goes through. This is the serpent's bloodline. Serpents are blue-blooded. They have copper-based blood as opposed to our iron-based blood. So this is very serpentine. So it travels down through its bloodline and into the car to enter the 88 portal to escape. And of course, this part ends with 9/11, as you can clearly see here. Now Marty has gone back to the future, and this is one of the first things you see, this guy laying on a bench, and it says California raisins, but everything is covered up except for California, and raw is. R-A-I-S, raw is. This represents the rebirth of the Antichrist. Now when Marty reappears, he crashes into the old movie theater. Well, that just ended abruptly. There was a tiny bit more, but I guess that's good enough. So yeah, I think that's everything on here that we covered. I'm pretty sure. I mean, the only thing we didn't cover was the 7 heads and the 7 hills and the 7. There was 7 key figures that were called the Founding Fathers. There was 7 of them. Yeah. So very interesting that the Founding Fathers were the 7 heads, and that's exactly where we find ourselves at the end. The 7 presidents, 7 heads again. But yeah, so that is part 1. Okay, now I'll just give you guys a preview as to the scale of what I'm doing here. All right. Now you can't see all this from the other page. You can only see the main page, the Constitution page, and plain sight. But I've already built so much more. Like I'm already ready already. So you can see here, this is what we just did. This is the Trump page so far. Zoom out a little bit. It's not huge. The Obama page is massive. It's taking a really long time. This is the Obama page. Wait till we get there. Okay, look. I mean, I'm telling you guys, this is more massive than you could ever imagine. This is the Apollo page. Then I got a Real Histories page. Proofs page for 230s. I got NWO, New World Order versus Old World Order, time and histories, proofs lined up. I have a page dedicated to creation and the fact that what you believe matters. You know what I'm saying? I got this kingdom page here, which is more of a kingdom timeline based on biblical events. I mean, some of these pages might get togethered, compiled. Oh, that was the original one. So, yeah. And so then this 14, I guess this would be the last one. Yeah. So as you guys can see, I have a ton of stuff to show you. Like this first event, this was just to like scratch the surface. It is so much deeper than I can even imagine. And I can imagine quite a bit. So I hope you guys enjoyed this presentation. By all means, go into the link and explore. Go through at your own pace. Do your own little side quests. The only thing that you will find is I am not going to open up the search for any more than I'm going to release. So the next two I'm releasing is Constitution and Hidden in Plain Sight. And those will probably be 2 video formats that I imagine I'll probably just release together on Monday. And then what I plan to do is every Monday to just drop another arrow, and then as I'm releasing the lessons, I will unlock this map and you will be able to access the page. So right now you can access 1776 and you can access Constitution and Bible and Hidden in Plain Sight. Those are the ones I'm doing next. So those are available if you want to check them out before I release the videos. Whatever you want to do is fine with me. But the flowcharts are here, and I suggest that you use them if you think it will be helpful. I made them because I thought it would be helpful not only for you, but also for me, because I needed somewhere to put all this stuff that was in my head. And as you can see, it was so much. And this isn't even all of it. So yeah, that's where we're at. So hopefully you guys picked up everything that I was putting down. Because it is important. And and this is another thing I want to show you. So there's this series on Prime called Fallout. And it's based on this game, Fallout 76. Which is about an apocalyptic future. And it just so happens that the one who started this apocalyptic future owned a casino that was called Lucky 38, which is what happens when you divide 76 by 2, you get 38, Lucky 38. So it's interesting, like these numbers are just turning up everywhere in the same kind of progression, in the same kind of understanding. Like this goes so much deeper. Like I keep finding stuff and coming across more stuff, and I'm like, this is just insane. Like it's so deep that I could spend the rest of my life and probably never even get right down to the meat of the thing. Like it's that in depth. There's so much to it. Let's see here. Mind is blown. Thank you. You're very welcome. Great work, Brother Jay. Thank you very much. Great work. Thank you. Satan has to follow what the Father tells him, what he can and cannot do. The Job explains this quite well. Yep, and that will come into play later on as well. Because Satan has to do his role. So yeah, we're gonna get into all that kind of stuff. Thank you, Brother Jay. Very welcome. Jesus led me here. I'm on for the ride. Look forward to the next one. Amen. Well, welcome to the channel, and thank the Lord for bringing you here. This is where all those who seek in truth definitely want to be. Very edifying study. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you. Incredible work, Brother Jay. Thank you. God bless you. God bless you as well. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Ugh. Yeah, praise God. Amen. Thank you guys. So yeah, that's part one. I'll tell you guys, I started putting this together in video format, and I would record. See, it was nice being able to see the comments, because as I'm speaking, I gave enough information. See, when I was making the video, I was over explaining things, and I could tell I was over explaining things. And so by the time I recorded like an hour or two's worth of recordings, I said, this isn't working out, because I feel like I'm over explaining things. And I don't want to over explain things, You don't want to, when you're trying to explain something to somebody, you don't want to over explain it or under explain it. And so with the feedback in the comment section, it was easier to navigate that, which I found really helpful, because if somebody needed to know something, they could just say something. If they didn't understand, they could just ask. And then if nobody's asking, then I can just assume that everybody's understanding what I'm saying and move on. So I found it really helpful. But the next ones are going to be video format. They will not be live. It will just be like regular videos, and you can watch the video and go through on your flowchart if you feel so inclined. And don't get it twisted. This is what you're seeing right here. This is the beginning. Like, this thing could triple in size for all I know. This is just the beginning. So this will keep growing and growing and growing. And once we finish everything that's on here, then, obviously the series will take a pause until something else comes up and we get a new page to put on it. And then we'll add to the series, and we'll just play it by ear. We'll handle them as they come in. So yeah, but that's all I got for you guys. Yep. And I'll be real with y'all. I'm not trying to sit in this chair for too much longer. A lot of preparation went into today, and not that I'm complaining, because I'm not. But there's only so much time you can spend staring at a screen in an uncomfortable chair. Well, my chair's not really uncomfortable. It's comfortable for like a couple hours. But then once you once it reaches its level of uncomfortableness, then it stays that way. Yeah, let's pray. And we'll call it a night. I think this was a good Wednesday show. I think we did justice by Brother Franz from him not being here. So I think we held up the show and did good. So hopefully he'll check it out later. And I know he will. But yeah, let's get ready to pray. Let's take off our shoes and take off our hats, gentlemen, or women. You can adorn your head with a hat. Man, oh man, that was a tongue twister. I had a hard time getting that one out there. So by all means, if you guys think of questions later, just throw them underneath the video, and I'll answer them. So yeah, the whole point here is to make sure people understand. And even if you don't understand everything right now, by the time we're done going over this, because we're gonna have to rehash things a bunch of times to introduce new stuff. So by the time we're done with it, you'll get it. And when you get it, you'll be absolutely beside yourself. Like, even just a little bit I showed you tonight is enough to give you pause. Like, that's a lot. All right. Well, let us pray. Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus, Holy Ghost, we just come before you once again, Lord, in praise and in worship. And we just want to thank you, Lord, for once again exposing serious darkness and shining light on this dark, dark, dark spell work that's been in place for so very long. We thank you, Lord, for shining light on all this darkness and exposing all these things and helping us to obtain knowledge that we don't perish because we have a lack of knowledge. We enjoy your unlocking of the mysteries and your revelations. We thank you for your wisdom, your peace, your joy. We thank you for your strength, your understanding, your mercy, your grace. Everything good comes down from you, God, and we are not, we do not question that whatsoever. Lord, I just ask that you continue to lift up and bless the remnant, Lord. Continue to strengthen us and guide us. Continue to open our eyes and reveal the hidden things of this world to us, that we can expose these things to others, and that through this exposure, light can be shown in the world and others can come and see and be saved, Lord. And we just ask you to use us in any way you see fit and necessary in these last days to accomplish whatever it is your will may be for us or for the people surrounding us. Just help us, Lord, in strength. Give us increase of faith, Lord. Help our unbelief. Help us not doubt. Let us be single-minded, single-tongued. We thank you, Lord. I thank you for the fellowship and everybody you brought to this channel. Everyone is a blessing, Lord, and I appreciate each and every one of them. And I thank you for bringing them all to this channel. It's been a true blessing, and I appreciate it. So it's in Jesus' mighty name, Lord, that I exalt you and praise you. And thank you. Amen. Amen. Thank you guys for joining me this evening for 1776. I know I've been hyping this up for a long time. Just know that this is not all the hype. This is like a piece of the hype. Okay? Like, I've been hyping this whole system. I've only shown you the foundation. So once we start getting up and a few floors up and stuff, it's going to start to really open up. And I mean, if you guys are anything like me, you're going to be dumbfounded, in awe, how this was ever hidden right in front of us. But yeah, having said that, you guys, appreciate you tuning in this evening, and hopefully the 1776 spell will start getting spread around. I hope people watch this. I hope it catches on. But knowing we're in a dark world and we are the light, I'm sure, only the few who are supposed to see it will see it. And that's okay. May the Lord's will be done. So thank you guys for joining me this evening. I'm looking forward to catching you guys. How long has my mic been off? That was weird. Oh, I know what happened. Okay. I accidentally shut my mic off in there somewhere a little bit. Sorry about that. So I don't know where I was or what I said, so I'll just start here. Yeah, hope you guys join me over on YouTube back here on Saturday night for the Bible study, where we will be picking back up in the book of James, chapter 4. So be pretty awesome. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you guys once again for joining me. Appreciate the support. Looking forward to catching you guys over on, I keep saying over on YouTube Saturday night for Bible study. I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Try to stay warm, stay vigilant, stay prayed up, stay strong, keep your eye on the Lord. And until Saturday night, you guys, take care. God bless. Love each and every one of you. Good night.
For all of us here at News Center 4, you stay classy, San Diego.
Listen up, the ratings just came in for last month. We are #1.